Dear friends, for the month of June, the month of the most sacred heart of Jesus, let us reflect on God's love for us and our love for God with the doctor of divine love himself, St. Francis de Sales.
Chapter 9 of the exercise of this abandonment. You ask me now, with what a soul must interiorly occupy herself who is thus entirely abandoned into the hands of God. She has only to abide in peace near our Lord without disquieting herself as to what will become of her, for our Lord, to whom she has abandoned herself, will take enough thought for that. I do not, however, mean to say that we must not think about the things to which we are obliged to attend, each according to his office. No, for it would not do that a superior, under the pretext of abandoning himself to God and reposing himself on him, should neglect to study and to learn the instructions proper to him in the exercise of his office. It is very true that we must have a great confidence thus to abandon ourselves without reserve to divine providence, but also when we do entirely abandon ourselves, our Lord takes care of everything and conducts everything. But if we reserve to ourselves anything about which we have not confidence in him, he leaves us, as though he said, "You think yourself wise enough to manage this affair without me? I allow you to guide it. You shall see what will come of it in the end." Saint Magdalene, who was entirely abandoned to our Lord, remained at his feet and listened to him as long as he spoke. And when he ceased to speak, she also ceased to hear. But she stirred not from his side. So does this soul, abandoned to our Lord, abide within his arms like an infant in its mother's bosom, who, when she puts him down to walk, walks till his mother again takes him up, and when she would carry him, suffers her to do so. He knows not and thinks not whither he is going, but he suffers himself to be carried and taken whither his mother pleases. Just in the same manner does this soul, loving the will of the good pleasure of God in all that happens to it, suffer itself to be carried, and nevertheless walks, doing with great care whatever belongs to the expressed will of God. You said just now that if it's really possible for our will to be so dead in our Lord, we would no longer know what we will or what we do not will. But I answer that it never happens, however abandoned to God we may be, that our liberty does not remain entire. Whence there also reaches us some desire and some will, but these are not absolute wills and forward desires. And immediately the soul, abandoned to the good pleasure of God, perceives them, that moment she makes them die in the will of God. You wish further to know what foundation this perfect abandonment ought to have. It ought to be founded on the infinite goodness of God and the merits of the death and passion of our Lord Jesus Christ, with this condition, that we have and know we have within us an entire and firm resolution of being altogether in God's hands, and of abandoning ourselves wholly and without any reserve to his divine providence. I desire you, however, to observe that I do not say that we must feel this resolution, but only that we must have it and know we have it within us, because we ought not to assume ourselves with thinking what we feel or what we do not feel, and the more because most of our sentiments and satisfactions are merely the amusements of our self-love. Nor must you take me to mean that in all these things we never have desires contrary to the will of God, or that our nature is not repugnant to the events of his good pleasure, for that may often happen. The virtues I speak of have their abode in the superior part of the soul. The inferior part ordinarily understands nothing of them. We must make no account of it. But without regarding what it wills, we must embrace that divine will and unite ourselves to it in spite of such inclinations. Few arrive at that degree of perfect riddance of themselves, but we ought nevertheless all to aim at it, each according to our vocation and capacity.
Always remember, be who you are and be that well. May God bless you.